Good morning and welcome to Purpose-Driven Finances, where our focus is helping you use your finances to achieve the purpose and plan for your life. And now here's the host of Purpose-Driven Finances, Alan Molina with Serwus Capital Management.
Hey, good morning. This is Alan Molina, your host, Purpose-Driven Finances, president of Serwus Capital Management. How are you doing this glorious day? Folks, guess what? After today, I'm going to be an empty nester. Woo-woo, Mr. Magoo. Sitting here with my co-host, Mary. How you doing?
I'm doing well. You talked about this last time.
I
You
did.
were really excited about being an empty nester.
It's going to be one of those things. Of course, I'm going to cry and sniffles and, just wonder what I'm going to do with all my time and my money. And, just going to be a glorious adventure,
Yes.
So
You're thinking about it, obviously.
My wife and I have been in counseling for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Learning how to talk to each other.
Yes, you're
once
going to
again,
have more time together.
And learning not to grunt. And, no, I'm just kidding. She's punching me now. She listens to the radio show. And but we're excited, folks. And, I'm not really good at events. I'm just not. So, but I have a speech prepared, and so it'll be fun. Hopefully, it'll go from there. But that being said, today, folks, we're wrapping up estate planning. The thing about estate planning is everybody needs it, and it's one of those situations where it's sad. The tough part that I have is I'm a financial advisor, and I deal with things in a black and white. It just is what it is. So sometimes I get a little too hard, calloused, unemotional, because it's just a fact of life. And realistically, when I deal with a client, the goal is to help them achieve the purpose and plan for their life. And so I am totally sold out to their mission. And whether it's a mission for kids to go to college, retirement, buy a new Corvette, I'm looking, Mary.
It sounds like it.
That's a goal of mine. But seriously, whether someone's out on the farm cutting hay and they have a desire for, transferring to their kids or retirement, it doesn't matter. I'm passionate about helping people achieve the purpose and plan for their life. And that being said, sadly, death is part of it. And Mary, I'm getting to a point in my career. I've been in the industry probably 24 years, which I think is crazy. Hopefully another 48 will go, at least. But I'm reaching the point to where my long-term clients are now going into nursing homes, passing away. That's the part I don't like. But that being said, folks, we're going to wrap up today, and I've spent 4 minutes doing too long of an introduction. I told our guests sometimes I forget that I won't run out of words. But it's a friend of mine. We've known each other longer than 24 years. And we used to work together in the mansion at Liberty University. But Josh Dalrymple. And tell us hi, Josh.
Hi, Alan. It's great to be here.
Yeah, appreciate you being here. And what we're going to do is, now we only have 5 minutes, Mary. And, I'm going to get an hour show one day, somewhere. Somewhere it's going to be an hour show. But Mary, let's talk about the 5 minutes about the market and what's happening in people's portfolios, and then let's try to leave 20 minutes for Josh to talk.
That sounds good. And I was going to ask you about what the jobs report that we got, and all I was hearing was this headline was it's great. It's so much stronger than expected.
Right. Well, here's the interesting thing: is the stock market likes. The word that comes to mind is ambiguity. They like it to where it's unsettled. They don't like, at some points. The other side of the coin, most of the time, they like it to where everything is settled. The problem when they don't, what I mean by they don't like uncertainty. But one thing that threw this into it is they expected the stock market to continuously going up and really interest rates to be added later in the year. But they were hoping with this new guy that Trump put in to be the federal, the Fed chief, Federal Reserve guy, he would eventually lower rates. But what ended up happening is with such a strong number, I think it was 177,000, and they were expecting 88, 89, somewhere in that range. What ended up happening was the stock market, bond market, commodity market, currency market is doing well for the U.S. They basically, I'm trying to figure out a good way to put it for the radio that my friends and clients won't be offended. They got alarmed. That's the only thing I got for you. They got alarmed that the economy is stronger than they expect. So, crap, they really are going to have to either raise rates or whatever, or keep them high. And so, because realistically, the economy is high rates. The next thing is that's really what happened with NFP. It was too strong, and the market was like, oh, crap, and it flushed.
So a good jobs report could mean it's bad news for investors.
It is. It could be.
Yeah.
And the thing I can't stand is narratives. And realistically, the NFP just creates a grand, glorious thing of narratives. I have not listened to CNBC today or Friday. I have not listened to Fox News. What I have done is looked at the numbers, and seriously, it's kind of like I dare to say there's 95%. I could be totally wrong. I haven't looked at the end data because we're taping the show on on Friday at 2 o'clock. I don't know what the end data was going to look like, the gainers and losers, but significant assets across all asset classes are just down. They're getting sold. And I think it has more to do with, hey, there's an excuse to sell, but also what's coming up next week.
And
I figured I'd be dramatic there.
Yes.
Is that good dramatic?
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn from you and Rich and Brian Wiegand.
The teaser.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think next week is SpaceX. I believe so.
I've heard a lot about that, the IPO, yeah.
And the issue that I have is I wonder if it's going to be much like Meta. Within Meta, when Meta came out originally, it dropped significantly in the first 100 days. So I'm wondering if that's going to happen with SpaceX. But the other item is in order for somebody to get assets in order to buy an IPO, I think it's at $135, $125 a share, and to buy a significant portion of your portfolio, you have to sell something. So I think that's part of what's happening in the stock market, in the bond market, in the commodities market, is SpaceX. But also there's two other AIs, I believe, Anthropic and OpenAI. I think I don't follow that as close as some people would think I would, because that's down the road. But they're also going to be IPOing, and which means there's going to be capital going from one place to another. The other item that is rather interesting that's happening is, you've heard of the Mag 7. Microsoft, Amazon, NVIDIA, the 7 high flyers of S&P 500.
Yes.
They create a tremendous amount of wealth for people who just follow the Mag 7. What's been interesting is the past 5 years, the Mag 7 has significantly outperformed the S&P 500 individually, those 7 stocks. And they've dramatically had a outsized responsibility. That's not the right word, but on the gain or loss of the S&P 500. Mm-hmm. What's interesting is in June, the earnings are going to be going up second quarter, but for the third quarter, the Mag 7 earnings are going to go down. It's expected from the second to the third quarter, earnings are going to go down 9%.
Wow.
From 25 to a little over 15, almost 16%. It doesn't take a rocket science to realize that's a drop. But what's going to be interesting is the other 493 companies are going to be going up in earnings. And so it's going to be a major shift from Mag 7 to those 493 companies. So it's going to be very interesting. And so, folks, we're at 20 minutes. I took too long just to talk about my wedding coming up, or my son's wedding, and just how awkward it's going to be for me. Not really awkward for me, but
It's obviously on your mind. You need to let it out.
Exactly.
Let it out,
It's, so I used my radio show as Dr. Ruth.
Yeah.
Is that appropriate? Or I don't know. What did she talk about? I can't remember. Never mind.
Maybe more Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
Or Dr. Abby.
Yeah.
At least two people are laughing.
Yeah.
That's my goal. Sometimes I say things that, Alan, did you really? Yes, I just did say that. Just go ahead and Google Dr. Ruth. You'll laugh. Or maybe get some tips. I don't know. You never know. So that being said, let's go to a 30-second break, and we're going to bring on just an amazing guy, Josh Dalrymple from his law firm. I'll catch you back in a little while.
Hi, everyone. Brian Kilmeade here. Coming up on the next edition of the Brian Kilmeade Show, we'll have the biggest newsmakers, news breakers, and take a deep dive into news you care about. Whether it's breaking news, entertainment, politics, or sports, even pop culture, I'll bring you the latest developments with expert analysis from the big names you know and love. Plus, you never know who may stop by. That's all coming up on the next edition of the Brian Kilmeade Show.
Weekday mornings from 9 to noon on WLNI. And now, back to Purpose-Driven Finances. Here's Alan Molina with Serwus Capital Management.
Hey, good morning. Alan Molina, host of Purpose-Driven Finances, president of Serwus Capital Management. Give me a call, 434-316-0246. And just love to talk to you about your portfolio or financial plan to help you achieve the purpose and plan for your life. So I'm sitting down here, Mary, myself, and a friend of mine, Josh Dalrymple from Fairchild. Come on, bro. Fairchild and Dalrymple law firm. Sometimes I can't speak, Josh, I don't know if you remember, but they put me in English 100 at Liberty because it was like a second language.
Did you pass it the first time?
Amazingly so.
Good.
And I clept out of English 101.
That's good.
I skipped. It doesn't matter. Let's just move on because we got 17 minutes and people want to hear about you and about your law firm and really estate planning. So that being said, what I want to do is give us a background and areas you practice, what you do, and things like that.
Sure. So I started my practice in Lynchburg in 2006, long back with Patel and Dalrymple. I was a founding partner of that law firm, and practiced here for about a decade. And then I went to India to do missions work and was there for 12 years. And I've recently returned and partnered with J.D. Fairchild, who was surprisingly one of my students at Liberty University when I was teaching there. And we became great friends over the last 15 years. And so now we're working together. As far as practice goes, I've practiced pretty much everything. But estate planning has been primary. That's been something that I've always loved doing. You and I worked in the estate planning office at Liberty long back. And I got a taste for it there, and I've done it for about the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So just so people realize it, and you were gracious, did you do any law in India?
Yeah, I did. I did 2 degrees over there. I did a master's degree in LLM, and then I did a PhD in law in the top law school in India. And then I was after that, the dean of Waxen University School of Law. They were starting their school of law, so I got to start and build that, and that was very exciting. And then I practiced in India as well for a U.S. firm, but I practiced in their India office.
That's very good. We don't have time, and you probably don't want to discuss it, but very interesting, some of the things you did. And it's exciting. We're here for estate planning, and folks, what I'd like you to do is if you're curious about your estate plan, like Josh said, we've been friends for years, and it's been exciting to see, the roads he has traveled, or what I like to say is the roads he's hoed. And he's done a great job with his family, but also still doing the lawyer stuff. And I apologize, I don't know all the vernacular. So when I say lawyer stuff,
I'm not sure I know all of it either.
Right. So how can people get in touch with you?
So they can call our office at 846-5470 or come by and visit. We're on Forest Road.
Okay, well, good.
Right around the corner from your office.
Exactly, right near Graves Mill Road. So what I want, we're talking about estate planning, and we have about 15 minutes left, really, not quite that. But let's just go through some why, and you can go as in deep, because like you said, I have like 153 questions, like I always do. Why do people get in touch with you?
So I find that people get in touch with me at two stages of life. Either they've just had kids and they're worried about how their assets will pass to their children, so young couples, or elderly people that have had a health scare. Once they've had a health scare, then they start to think about end-of-life decisions, and they want to make sure that they have a plan in place. Those are kind of the stages, but it's not limited to that. Anybody can come at any time. I think one of the things that I see often in practice is that people kind of view estate planning from their own experience, and that's often from television or movies. And they think it's for rich people, right? The big wooden room and the lawyer reading out the will and that sort of thing. And it looks like it's from their rich uncle. Mm-hmm. But it's really not that. It's for everybody. Everybody has end-of-life decisions that need to be made and planning for how assets will transfer at that time.
So what do families regret not doing sooner?
The biggest regret is once mental capacity slips a little. My dad was recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and so you're starting to face this the question of when he can make decisions or not. Same thing happens with many, many people. So once that happens and the person progresses far enough that they can't make decisions, then it makes it very, very difficult to do any estate planning.
Yeah, sorry to hear about your dad, and I know that's really tough. So let's go from the why to let's get started. What documents should every adult in America have, or even India? But let's talk America.
Sure. So I think, when you talk about documents, it's going to be highly specific to each client. But there are basic ones I think everybody should have. I think everybody should have a power of attorney, somebody that can do things for that person while they're living, usually a spouse. I think everybody should have a medical directive to tell people what should happen if they're unable to make medical decisions for themselves, or worst case, they're put on life support, whether to withdraw that or not. They also need something to manage the assets. At the very, very basic level, a will. I think most people are probably in a space where they need a trust, some sort of a trust. I would say those are very, very basic documents that almost everyone should have.
That's good. And I got so many stories, but people want to hear from you, not from me. They hear from me every week. What age should people start?
Now. They should start right now.
Right.
Yeah, I think what I tell people is if you have any assets at the time you buy a house, if your bank account has some money in it, come and meet with me and talk about it, and let's see what we can do for you.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And you've already said what life events should trigger an update. A lot of times kids or that health scare.
Yep.
That being said, now really what I wanted to do is, like I said, I got 50 million questions. Really what I, because everybody knows they need an estate plan.
Yep.
And if they don't, they do now. So one thing about purpose-driven finances that I have done is really try to communicate to people what questions they should ask their financial advisor. Everybody goes into Google. When I say everybody, if you're looking for a financial advisor, they'll go into Google. What questions should I ask my new financial advisor? Which questions should I ask my old financial advisor? What kind of advisor should I have? And it's always fiduciary, fee only, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what questions should people ask their attorney?
Sure. So I think first and foremost, clients should ask what the documents do or what the different options are for their finances. People often enter estate planning and they think that it's like a restaurant menu. You pick the things that you like and you buy those things and you eat. It's not really. I always explain estate planning like a toolbox. So it's more like fixing a vehicle, and we have certain tools for certain types of vehicles. We have certain tools for certain types of situations. So the biggest thing is to sit down with somebody who knows how to do this and work through what tools might be appropriate for their plan. So those type of questions are important things that surround that. I think a person needs to know then, once those tools are kind of laid out, what each of those things do. Right? They need to know what the documents do. They need to know what the tools do. They need to know how it will affect them now and in the future. And they need to have a good understanding. Often clients are reluctant to ask because they think it might be a silly question, or they think the attorney will get upset or irritated that they're asking questions. I always tell my clients I want them to ask anything that's on their mind. Mm-hmm. It's their plan. They need to understand it completely. I would say after that, the biggest question that I would ask an attorney, and this is any attorney, me or anybody else, is whether they're going to, let's say they set up a revocable living trust, what work they do surrounding that. Are they going to fund the trust, or are they just handing you a document and they expect you to do it? Because that happens a lot with attorneys, and it's ineffective. If it's not complete, if it's not funded, it doesn't work. And that's where people get into trouble, is they often will go for the cheapest cost, but then it leaves a lot of work in their hands that they're unable to do, and they don't realize that it will be ineffective. They think they're covered, and they're not.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen people have a revocable living trust, and it's unfunded.
Yep.
They still have to go through probate.
Yeah, all goes through probate, and then the trust was useless. They paid that cost for nothing.
Right. And they have the pour over will, but they still have to go through probate.
That's right.
It's a pain.
Yep.
So that being said, what mistakes do you see?
The biggest one is not understanding what the attorney is doing. But other than that is hidden costs. I see people subjecting themselves to costs that they didn't understand at the outset.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, is the attorney going to charge them for funding the trust? Is the attorney going to charge them at each step along the way? And what they thought was cheap to begin with then incurs costs as they work through the plan. I'm never a big fan of that. The other thing is the costs that aren't in the attorney's hands: probate costs, taxes, management of trust, those sorts of things. I think the client needs to know all of those, and it's a mistake not to, because those can come up later and bite you.
Can you folks, when I say you folks, you and your firm, can you manage estates after someone changes address, goes to be with the Lord, dies?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do beginning to end, whatever it needs to be done. What I don't do is financial management. I leave that in capable hands like yours
I appreciate
to
that.
handle assets. But other than that, as far as managing the trust, as far as doing probate, if it's a will, yeah, we do all of that work.
Well, good. What surprises do people normally see from estate planning?
Surprises are often cost-related. The other surprise that people run into all the time is the disagreement among family if it's not well planned. Right. Everybody gets along when they're drafting the documents, right? Everybody's on their best behavior. But once mom and dad have passed away or they're incapacitated and it becomes a question of money, a lot of times that really changes people. And I don't say that to say that they're greedy or they're evil, but they have strong feelings about what should happen. And when those strong feelings start to interact one with another and they disagree on things, then relationship breaks down. I see that quite a bit.
So you just, a great segue to family dynamics. What conversations should parents have with their adult children?
So now, again, this is going to be highly client specific. It depends a lot on the relationship with the children and the relationship with the children between one another. But I would say if everything is fairly healthy, the parents should sit down and talk to the children about what they want to happen even before death, incapacity, right? As they get elderly, as they need care, what that's going to look like and how it's going to be handled. Because a lot of times there's a lot of assumptions, and assumptions lead to disagreement because everybody's not on the same page. So sitting down and talking about how they want that to happen is important. Also, telling the family where to find documents. They don't necessarily have to give access right away to those. They can keep those private at that point, but they need to tell them how to find them when the time comes. Otherwise, they're searching and they don't, they can't put them into place.
Exactly. And for this series, we call it the red folder.
Yeah.
The red folder in the filing cabinet somewhere or the lockbox. One thing that I have seen, a little conjecture here, is a lot of families who have multiple children, you normally have one child or more that is like, I don't want to talk about death. I don't want to discuss death. Even after the person dies, they're like, I can't do anything and I can't help. I'm incapacitated because of the grief and I don't want to do anything. How, I don't know if you're the right one to ask this, but I wonder if we need to, if there's a grief counselor or Tim Clinton or somebody, how to deal with that. Because I would think that you have to communicate, and even if they're an adult, they want to reject it. Yeah. I wonder how you deal with that.
Well, it's a fairly common thing. Death is an emotional issue, and people are emotional by nature. There are also a healthy amount of people who think that talking about it will manifest it. I don't want to talk about mom and dad dying because then they will die.
Right.
right? And that's there's some superstition and things that surround this that we wrestle through. One of the ways that I found to work through that in practice is to ask them to get that person to have a conversation with me. Mm-hmm. So sometimes if you're having a conversation with an attorney who's kind of at arm's length, one, it's not so raw, it's not so on the nose, and the attorney can walk them through more of a tactical conversation than an emotional conversation. Mm-hmm. And we have experience doing that. We do this regularly.
That's awesome. Is secrecy or transparency the better? Which one is the better approach?
Depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to cut a child out of the will and you don't want to talk to them about it, well, then secrecy might be the better approach. I would say generally, though, some level of transparency cuts down on hurt feelings and disagreement later. Mm-hmm. Again, that's something that is strategic. So it's something that a client is going to want to sit down with an attorney and ask, what do you advise based on your experience is the better approach here?
You know what I love about your approach? It's really purpose-driven. Purpose-driven to the individual, the family, the goals and the dreams, the pitfalls.
Yeah.
It's not just everybody gets a black Ford.
That's right.
Like they did in the 20s. Yep. Mary, I've hogged the airways. You got any questions, any thoughts?
Well, Alan, once again, we've
3 minutes.
Talked quite a bit. Well, I guess, are we at the point where we're going to ask Josh, like, what's the one thing that everybody needs to know?
Sure. I mean,
sure.
We got, I still got like 553 questions.
I know, but we do only have.
And we got 23 stories. But, we got 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. But, yeah.
Sure. I'd love to answer that. One, I think it's something that everybody should take a first step in. Schedule a consultation, talk to an attorney about getting an estate plan done. Take that first step. I'd love to see everyone do that. Whether you move forward with it or not may depend on finances or other life circumstances, but at least explore it. The other thing that I would like everybody to know is to really ask themselves, is the person that they're working with, the attorney, the financial planners, the accountant, the people that handle these things, do they care about me and my family? Right? And I think that's huge. I think it's super important that the attorney really cares what happens to them. Oftentimes in these professions, it's easy to get into this situation where you just go to the office and you do your work. But I don't think that's appropriate. I think clients are real people. They have real concerns. And the best way to deal with them is for you to become a partner with them and help them achieve those goals.
Have you had somebody who's cutting someone out of their will, and do you talk to them about it and maybe try to make sure they're doing the right thing, maybe try to talk them out of it?
Yes. We talk any situation like that comes up. Yeah, I spend quite a bit of time talking about the relationship and why. And when you explore that, many times it's not that they're angry with the person. It's that they think that's the healthiest thing to do. A child with a drug problem, right? And they don't want to put money in their hands. Like I said, this is a toolbox. We have tools where, and they usually don't know this, where we can plan for a child, but it doesn't necessarily destroy their lives either in that situation. So sometimes as I work through that, I say, well, have you considered this? This might be a better way to do it.
That's really good. So, Josh, once again, tell people your phone number and how to get in touch with you.
Sure. Phone number at the office is 846-5470. The website, www.fdlawva.com. And my office is right there on Forest Road, right around the corner from yours.
That's great. Easy to get there. So, folks, I hope this has been helpful. It's been helpful for me. Pam is very happy because this next week, all of our estate plan is going to be wrapped up and put a bow on it. And we're going to have a red folder, and she's going to know where everything is. So, folks, if you've missed some of the episodes, go to my podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, and check it out, Purpose-Driven Finances, and look at them. They'll all be up probably in the next week or two. But give me a call at 434-316-0246. I want to help you achieve the purpose and plan for your life. Hope you have a great weekend, and hope it's a great ceremony tomorrow. And catch you next week.
Returns for illustrative purpose. This is not a suggestion to buy, sell, or use a platform. Only will a suggestion occur after a meeting to determine goals, risk tolerance, and time horizons. Investments involve risks and no guarantee of future results.